Alamo Music is excited to announce that we finally got Universal Audio in the store. We got all the Apollos here, and we got Chris Cline to tell you all about them. Stick around.
Hi, I'm Chris Cline.
And I'm Cooper Greenberg. We're here at Alamo Music Center in San Antonio, Texas. You can find us online at alamomusic.com. If you haven't already, whether you're watching this on the Guitar channel or the Pro Audio channel, please subscribe and like and comment on our videos. We love hearing from you guys. And I love hearing from my man Chris Cline about some cool audio gear. And I've been looking forward to this line coming in the store for a long time. So tell us what we got.
Yeah. So Universal Audio, big name in the industry, has been for going on, 60 years now, thanks to Bill Putnam and him kind of leading the way in studio techniques and design and equipment design. And with that being said, we have some of the Apollo units here. These are the desktop units. We have the Apollo X4, we have the Apollo Twin X, and then we also have the Solo. These are very, very robust interfaces, well built, lots of connectivity on the 4, and as you move down the line, you lose a little bit of the connectivity, but these are really, really fantastic units.
Yeah, so the thing is, there's a couple here that we don't have on the table in front of us as well. If you check on our website, we got everything available, and there's stuff that we don't have yet that's on order, or that you could special order from us. There's also, this is the Twin X Quad. There's the Duo as well that's a little lower in terms of processing and price. Really good option for a songwriter or somebody that's just working at home, hanging out and kind of doing their own thing. And then there's also an X8, the X8P as well, and then 16s and rack units upwards. But this is I think a nice little sweet spot for probably most of our customers, whether you're kind of starting off or maybe doing some work in a studio or got a band that you're recording and stuff. But tell us, say if somebody purchases an Apollo, whether it's, solo all the way through the X4, what can you expect in terms of, what's inside the box, what you get software-wise and all that?
Yeah, absolutely. So can you hand me the Solo?
Yes, sir.
So as you can see, it's a cute little box, and this is actually powered off of your Thunderbolt bus as well, so you don't need to have a wall board or an external power supply. With this unit, you do have 2 dual mic inputs, and they're also line inputs, and we'll have some B-roll for you so you can actually see what's happening with the connectivity. And then you also have a couple of line outputs on the back as well, which can be used for monitors, or if you want to maybe plug it into a console and you want to maybe sum off of some kind of desk, maybe you have a Soundcraft or a little Neve of some kind. But the Apollo Solo does offer this connectivity. And then on the front, you also have more tactile controls. You can change the input, so you can dial in the mic pre's individually. You have a low cut filter, phantom power, which is important if you have condenser microphones. And some ribbon microphones are also active as well. Not too many, but those do exist. You have a pad, which is going to reduce the input before it hits the preamp. So if the mic is really, really hot right off the cuff, you can bring that back. You have a phase switch, and then you also have a link switch, which actually puts the preamps into a link mode. So you're actually going to be turning them up at the same time using the trim. The pot is dual purpose. It's going to control the trim as well as your monitor or your headphone outputs. And then you have processing in here as well that's going to work with the UA plugins. Now, to my ears, whatever that's worth, we all hear differently. It's very subjective. The UA plugins are the best on the market. They offer the best emulations. And a lot of the emulations that they offer, it's technology that Bill Putnam actually invented back in the 60s and 70s. So you really can't beat the package. Going back to the microphone preamps, they've incorporated their Unison technology, which will allow you to take some of their plugins that have the Unison technology built into it to strap it across the input. So for instance, instead of just using the clean mic pre, you could put a Neve 1073 across here, or a 610, which is a Universal Audio tube preamplifier. And it's going to emulate all the circuitry. It's going to emulate the load, the transformers, the impedance, you name it, everything. And you can track with that technology with almost zero latency. It's really, really powerful, really, really cool. This right here, the Solo, only has one processor in it. Now, as we start to move across the line, you're going to see the design's a little more robust, and that is it has a metal chassis, but it's a little more robust, a little more sturdy. They're all real sturdy. I don't want to mislead, but with the Twin X, you now have to power the unit with a wall wart. It's no longer powered off the bus. It still uses the Thunderbolt 3 protocol, and as Cooper had mentioned before, you can use standard USB as well, but you have to buy it in that configuration. This is the quad, so it's offering 4 times the processing power as that, which means you can strap 4 times as many plugins into your DAW or across the UA console software that allows you to work in unison mode, where you can actually put the plugins into the path of the microphone preamplifier. And now that I'm actually poking around back here, once again, we do have 2 dual mic line inputs, XLR, and we have a separate monitor output, and then we have 2 more line outputs as well, which is a big plus. Especially if you do have outboard gear that you want to use in the mix stage, you can actually use the inputs and outputs that are on here, the extra facilities, as an insert. So maybe you have a real LA2A, or maybe you have a Fairchild 660 because you've got a ton of cash and you can drop $20,000 on a mono compressor. Well, now you can put it into this path. But not only that, you also have an optical input, and the optical input works with the light pipe protocol that ADAT developed back in the 90s. So it's going to give you 8 more inputs. So now you've just gone from 2 inputs to 10. Now, this is also the amount of inputs you have via light pipe are going to be dictated by what the sample rate is as well. So if you move up to higher sample rates, 88.2 or 96, you're not going to have 8 inputs. You're going to have 4 or 2. It just depends. And speaking of sample rates, these go up to 192, and the bit depth, the bit depth resolution is 24 bits, which means you have a ton of dynamic range. They're really, really well built. And then once again, we have tactile controls. There's no silkscreen on here because the controls are actually lit up, and they're going to change depending on what mode you're in. So if you change to a preamp, then it's going to change what kind of controls you have here, fan and power and so on and so forth. Really, really great box, and we're actually going to use this for a demo here in a little bit as well, and we're going to record Cooper on a really beautiful Martin guitar, and we're going to capture some vocals too with these warm microphones.
And also, this is the quad core. Like I said, there's the duo core, which will have half of the processing power of the quad. Also, really cool option. But this is just gives you a little more room to play with, which is cool. Tell us about the 4. What's the speed?
Yeah, this thing's a beast. So let's just go directly to the back, and you will see that now we have 4 dual-purpose mic line inputs, as well as our monitor outputs and 4 additional line outputs. And we have an optical in and an optical out. So we can have an additional 8 channels coming out of here going into a console or outboard gear, whatever it is that you have, and an additional 8 coming in, which is really, really great. There are so many killer preamps on the market these days that support light pipe, the light pipe protocol. In my home studio, I have a Focusrite ISA 828, which is 8 channels of the ISA 110. That was developed by Rupert Neve for George Martin back in, late 80s, early 90s. I have the light pipe option on that, so I can plug it directly into here and have 8 channels of really pristine Focusrite 110 pre's coming directly into this box, which is really, really nice. And then, as Cooper said once again, we've got the quad processor in here, so we're looking at 4 times the processing power as the Solo down there, which means you can really stack a lot of plugins on here, which is really, really important. This is really, really fantastic. I mean, the value is immense, it sounds great, and it's built like a tank. So you really can't go wrong with any of these. It just depends on what your needs are. Maybe you're a singer-songwriter. All you need is microphone, guitar, mic, whatever. The Solo is probably going to suit your purposes, right? When you move up to the Twin, you have the ability to expand later. So if you want to have 8 more inputs, you can do that via light pipe, which is nice. So this can also be good for the singer-songwriter. Maybe somebody's going to come in with the drum set, find a nice 8-channel preamp, you're ready to go. You can have a full-on tracking session, and the same with this. immense value.
Yeah, so it's important to say all of these are part of the Heritage Collection from UA. And basically what that means, all of them come with, I think, the same thing, the same included software. So you get access to Luna, which is their somewhat recently introduced, proprietary DAW. That's kind of created to work seamlessly with their plugins and their processing, all that. And then also in terms of plugins, which Chris has been mentioning, based on the amount of, core processing power that you have, the more that you can work with at one time. But they include kind of, what do they call it? Their Heritage Classics collection of plugins.
Yeah, and it's it's a Marshall Plexi, Pultex 1176, which is a compressor. Oh no, Pultec is an EQ.
Yeah.
It's a really beautiful tube EQ. If you were to buy one channel of an EQ P1A today, a vintage Pultec, you're probably looking at $8,000 to $10,000 at least. So it comes with all these emulated plugins.
Yeah, there's 610, there's an LA2A. A lot of this stuff which had been designed and put out as analog hardware by Universal Audio. Now you can, if you want, you can order a 610 and LA2A from the company through us if you would like. I believe that I was told by the rep that their analog hardware is back ordered through 2023, something like that. And most of us, like myself, I'm not a world-class recording and mastering engineer, whatever, like Chris Cline here, but I don't have either the space or okay, so I don't have the space in my house nor the budget to bring in a bunch of outboard gear. And so, I love going into a studio. I love, working at a place that I can touch and feel those things actually in a tangible way. But having a world-class emulation on the track, in the box when you buy it, plugins get very expensive when you start racking them up. And it's cool to have kind of a nice core lineup just included with the box,
Yeah, yeah. And the LA2A, which is a classic optical compressor, that's my favorite compressor in the world. And honestly, I kind of want to abuse it and use it on everything all the time. If you were to do that in the real physical world, each compressor is going to cost you, I don't even know what they cost these days, brand new, $3,600.
Yeah, thousands of dollars.
$3,600, a lot, right? Or you get the plugin from Universal Audio, who created the analog technology to begin with. You pay, I don't know what it is today, $199.
Yeah.
I know they have a whole bundle of the different LA2s and LA2As that have existed throughout the years. And depending on the processing power you have in your unit, whether it be a satellite or one of their interfaces, you can instantiate that plugin 5, 10, 15 times, which is great. You can put it on everything, and it sounds killer. I just finished doing a session out in San Francisco at Hyde Street, and they have an LA2 and an LA2A in the rack. I love accessing those, but this works too, and it's really quick and super efficient, and I can save it. I can save my settings.
Yeah.
Other than like taking pictures or like writing everything down on a recall sheet, you can do all that with these plugins. They're really nice.
Yeah.
And we were just talking about this. They're running a promo right now on their interfaces where you get an additional suite of plugins, which includes, I think, a Mini Moog, Antares Auto Tune,
a Fender amp, I believe.
Fender 55 Deluxe, I think.
Something like that. Their Fender guitar plugins are awesome.
Yeah.
Really, really nice amp emulations. And it's worth saying, if you didn't know it already, it does come with Luna, but it will work on your preferred DAW as well.
Yeah. Pro Tools,
Logic, whatever.
Ableton, Fruity Loops.
Little Cubase, whatever you want.
Digital Performer.
So I'm going to make a weird segue into the next segment. So let's say you got your LA2A. Let's say you might have a clone of an LA2A, like a WA2A from Warm Audio. Let's say you might have some cool microphones from Warm Audio.
Yeah.
And let's see how they sound,
Yeah.
Let's see how what do we got here? We got an 87, we got a 47 Junior. Kind of tell us the mindset when you were micing it up, and then kind of what the point is of this demo.
Oh yeah, sure. So what we want to do in this demo, what we want to achieve is we want to hear the sound of the Apollo Twin X. We want to hear the preamps in their purest form, right? And the 87 and the 47 Junior or the 47 FET, these are really, really great recreations of classic microphones by Neumann, and these don't necessarily break the bank like a Neumann would. And I don't want to speak poorly about Neumann because I have a suite of mics at home. I love them, but I mean, these are really killer. Warm's making a great product, and they're just right up the street from us. They're in Austin, so it's all being made in Austin. So good for them. So basically, I'm using the 87 for the Martin. I keep on wanting to point over here.
Yeah, it's over there.
It's over here hiding out. I use the 87 for the Martin guitar, and it was a OM21.
Yeah, so if you're watching this on the Guitar Channel, just to throw a plug in there, I chose the Martin OM21. We've talked about it before on the channel. Very, very nice. It's a high-end guitar, but it's not a exquisitely adorned with abalone showpiece. It's a straightforward, nice example of a no-frills Martin. You got spruce on the top, rosewood back and sides. It's an OM, which is the same size and shape of a triple O, but slightly longer scale length, which I enjoy, especially with a rosewood-backed instrument. Get a little more punch, a little more tension on the strings. It's just, I think it's an ideal guitar for recording. That's what I would probably like to use, something like that in a studio if I was going to play a song like I'm playing today, just kind of intimate, acoustic, sort of thing. So that's why I chose that guitar. I think it sounds great, and the mics make it sound really nice, and the Apollo makes it sound nice. So
yeah. And we're also going to throw one of my own personal mics into the mix. I brought in a Royer 101 R101 ribbon microphone from my own personal collection, just to see how a ribbon mic works with the Apollo. Now the preamps on here have 65 dB of gain, which should be more than enough for a ribbon mic. But I figured, why not? Let's go ahead and test it out and see what happens. So let's go ahead and get that started.
Let's do it.
All right.
Talk like this, you feel like a stranger, but I get excited when you're that way. I've seen your face a time or two, every time it seems so new, but nothing else can be that easy. Something's always gotta be mundane. I've been reading about the next best thing. Would you believe it's really all the same? I've heard that song time or two. The words don't change, but the players do.
So we hope you enjoyed the demo and that you're able to really hear the clarity of the preamp and the microphones as well. These microphones are really, really detailed, and you're probably going to notice with the Royer that you're going to hear a little less detail, a little more mid-range oomph and warmth to it. It's not a bad thing, it's just a different flavor, and it works really, really well with this. And when I was talking about the three different models, I failed to mention that they have high Z inputs and headphone outputs on the front. The high Z input's going to be for your guitar or for any other instrument, but primarily for guitars to match the impedance that's coming off of the jack on the guitar. I'm thrilled with these. I think they're really, really great. I'm curious as to what your thoughts are.
Yeah, the thing is, like, from my point of view, I have needed to upgrade my kind of home setup for quite a long time. I have a really, really entry level sort of just kind of USB interface. And then I've spent some time with friends that do actually professionally record and spend more time in studios. I've gotten the chance to be in a few cool studios, and UA is kind of a name and a logo that you see with respectable engineers all the time. I mean, it's like it's a cool thing that they offer. It's wrong to say entry level because they are significantly more expensive than certain things we've looked at before with, you know, Scarlett interfaces and audio box and some of the Steinberg UR12 kind of things. This is a significant jump up in price. Solo is going to be kind of into the Apollo area, the most entry level, and it's exciting to see that they're putting out the Volts, which will be very cool. And once we get these in, we'll do a whole other video kind of looking at that line. But for me, somebody that I love to record, I like to do, you know, just kind of plug in at home and mess around with plugins and use it as a songwriting tool. This, spoiler alert, is coming home with me today. So it's kind of the perfect option for me and something that I do think will carry me quite a ways away until I go into gear, you know, hoarding mode like Chris Cline. But no, it's a nice place to be, especially if you want a nice, good interface for your home, but you cannot afford to add in a bunch of outboard gear and a bunch of extra stuff. This has got a lot of that emulated in the box and works really great if you just have a MacBook already and you have a DAW that you like. If you're working with Logic or something, plug it in, get your plugins, and start rolling from there. And I think it's really cool. But also, like we mentioned before, they do make the Apollos in 8 and a 16. Do they have a 32?
No.
Do they have a 64? Do they have a 128?
They have a 4 million.
I think they might have 4 million. So you can get these in bigger and bigger sizes, and you can also get satellites if you need more processing power. Pretty much everything that you need you can find in an Apollo, and you can probably find it in the store. You can find it on our website. We're going to have all the specs written out there in the listings for you if you want to check those out. But please feel free to send us an email or chat with us online. Give us a call if you have questions. For me personally, I don't know a ton about this stuff, so it's nice to have a resource, somebody that does know a little bit more to explain what, I mean, there's just little things I think, especially as you're getting into it, there might be some terms that you don't understand and probably capabilities on these that you just need to know that you can reach bigger and greater heights. So it's nice to learn more about them. They have cool educational material on their website and YouTube as well. But it's kind of an endless amount of stuff that you can do with an Apollo. So really, really cool to have these in the store now and be able to offer them at Alamo. And
I should mention, the mixdown that you're hearing of what we recorded is completely free of any plugins. We wanted to demonstrate the clarity and the openness of the preamps that exist on here. And so there's no processing happening in post with Cooper's guitar and vocal mic. It's his pure tone, the pure tone of the guitar, the microphones, and the preamps.
Which is a little scary for me, but it's like whatever. So maybe next time using the promo, we'll get the Antares auto-tune and we'll get some crazy plugins on there. Yeah. Not really, but I would love down the road as we dive into these more, maybe do some plugin demos. You know, we do carry warm audio as well in the store. So if you like the sound of the mics, you can find those on the website. And, you know, they make great clones of some of this analog hardware that, you know, comes from Universal Audio. So I'd love to maybe see how the clones do against the plugins, which one has a sweeter sound to your ear or to your ear.
We'll definitely shoot them out.
Yeah.
That'll be a lot of fun.
For sure. So look forward to some more content. If you dig it, if you like the sound, if you like this kind of video, whether you like it or not, you're going to see some more of it. So, but you know, if you want to be notified, subscribe to the channel, click on those notifications, like the video, comment, tell us what you think about Chris's Steely Dan shirt. You know, it's just, this guy's a wealth of knowledge over here. So
Steely Youth.
Steely Youth, yeah. I mean, it's just kind of a mashup. You ever watch Glee?
I love Glee. I watch it every morning,
He's
first
a
thing.
total Gleek.
Yeah. I dress up, I cosplay to Glee.
Yeah, Mr. Shu, I think.
Yeah, I love it. I love it.
Exposing
So
my high
good.
school time. Yeah.
Yeah.
So we thank you guys very much for watching. Check us out on alamomusic.com, and we'll see you next time.